Good evening, Matthew Elliott. I want to thank all of the people here from Rogue News for listening to Matthew Elliott this time. It is because of you, the American taxpayer, and for your purpose and power that Ukraine is losing so terribly today. You might ask yourself, why are we losing? Why is it so bad? Well, let me start by saying most of the money you have sent us, I have bought lots of cocaine. Slava cocaina, Slava cocaina. Now, you must also say to yourself that the investment from the American taxpayer is a locomotive that will allow us to make our country even more of a failure. We have, as of today, 300,000 dead Ukrainians and counting. We have destroyed all the HIMARS that you have given us. We have burned through all the Javelin missile systems. And we have also lost great many individual, let's just call them advisors. Now, you might say to yourself, there is a lot of corruption in Ukraine. You would be right. There is corruption. And in fact, it is pretty bad. I have fired my foreign minister, my dog minister, and the town drunk. I've fired them all. This is a great step for me to show solidarity with the American taxpayer. Also, I am also providing lots of cocaine for Hunter Biden. Lots of children to smell for Joe Biden as well. Thank you, American taxpayer, for giving me $40 million Miami penthouse. And please listen to Matthew Elliott on roguenews.com. Slava cocaina. There you go.
Wow, that was very candid. That's that's inspiring.
He is Time Magazine's Man of the Year, Matthew.
And he deserves it. He deserves it. I think, I mean, didn't he receive the Academy Award or something too from like Sean Penn?
Sean Penn was such an altruistic and caring human person, they, them, that he gave his Oscar to the great Vladimir Slava Cocaina Zelensky.
That's really enlightened. And I mean, it's appropriate that one actor would give to another actor such an award. That's really quite the thing. And I in listening to Zelensky, do you guys, is it just me or has his voice, do you think he's got his handlers training him to modulate his voice to sound more gruff and battle worn compared to like
100%?
Yeah, right.
He's trying to do the Christian Bale Batman, but the civilian version of that. Yeah. Zelensky, can I trust him? Where's Commissioner Gordon? Where's Harvey Dent? That's what he's trying to do. The Actors Guild, which is, controlling Zelensky, is telling him to deepen his voice. There's no doubt about that, dude, because he doesn't sound like that ever before. Before this whole thing started, he just sounded like a normal person. Now he talks like this.
Yeah, no, I remember that. And not only was it just a physical makeover, and the guy's obviously physically breaking down in some ways. I mean, that amount of gray hair and everything, that it's pretty disheveled look, but they actually have him fully as an actor going for this, this projection as though he's actually in the trenches somehow and not sitting in a luxury suite, probably more often than not outside of Ukraine, watching his fellow countrymen, 300,000 of which you just pointed out have been sacrificed on this weird geopolitical sacrificial altar. It's really quite something. But at the end of the day, it is really about, and everybody who's watched this understands that Ukraine is really, it is what it is. It's a piece that is disposable on a broader geopolitical chessboard. And I remember Sun Yat-sen, he warned his fellow Chinese. He gave us this very, very important warning towards the end of World War I, saying that, look, whatever happens at the League of Nations, the peace of the Treaty of Versailles process in Paris, whatever happens, don't trust the British. The British are like a silkworm farmer. They don't have friends. They just have interests. And he goes through it in depth. He says the way that their formula works is they always have a rival that they want to destroy using a weaker third party. They will act like they are that third party's friend who is weaker, and then they will use that to destabilize their rival that they want to really destroy. But as soon as that weaker friend third party becomes strong, then they will find yet another party who is still weaker to destroy that former friend. And he says, like the silkworm farmer, might appear that he cares about his silkworms and feeds them and treats them well. As soon as he extracts all of the silk, then all that's left is he will burn them or feed them to the fishes. That's the British way. Don't trust the British way. And despite the fact that this has been the technique used for centuries, it's still idiot guppies with no memories like a goldfish, are falling directly back into the trap yet again. And not only do you have people like Zelensky, who's just, an absolute shell of a nothing, who's just molded, but you have figures like Olaf Scholz, this dimwit who's processed in a liberalizing Anglo-American controlled educational system that was designed to cut the very German people themselves off of their own heritage and their own historical experiences, such that now you have this guy signing on to sending Leopard tanks to Ukraine to fight a war with Russia, which Baerbock has actually said is what we're doing. She actually said that, I guys have probably seen this video of this idiot German minister saying openly, we are at war with Russia. So now she's declaring a war with Russia. Nobody's talked about that. They're sending German tanks again. And the foreign ministry, basically said like, okay, this is obviously, the Russians have a very clear memory of what German tanks attacking them was all about.
Correct.
They know what the Wolf's Angle and Swastika and all of these things are. They lost 25 million people in a brutal Wall Street-backed war back in 1940 to 45. They know what that is. They see it all again. They have a historical memory. The West doesn't seem to. And so, when you have people like Blinken or Victoria Nuland, who did so much work to bring this to their doorstep and force all of these so-called allies like Ukraine or Germany, where American allies, to go and serve like little silkworms with I suppose biting teeth or something to try to attack Russia. They're like, well, look, we can't negotiate with you at all.
Yeah.
And but did you guys see this Blinken mouthpiece?
Who, Newland?
No, well, Blinken and Nuland both gave a peace offering to Russia. Blinken's offer came through the Washington Post. So I forget who it was. It was some asshole who was a very high-level person in the National Endowment for Democracy who was assigned to author this article.
Yeah.
Basically saying, if I have it written down here. Oh, David Ignatieff. That's right. David Ignatieff writes this article on behalf of a personal conversation he's had with Blinken as a message to Russia saying, look, Blinken says, and you could trust Blinken.
Yeah.
That
he's a genius. He knows everything about the rules-based order.
Yes, he does. So he's such a genius, and he's obviously in charge of policy somehow. So he says that if Russia just cancels their spring attack, we don't know the characteristics. We just know it's going to happen. It's going to happen probably pretty soon on the west of Ukraine. If you just cancel that plan, then we will arrange to have some sort of a mutually agreeable situation whereby we can agree to allow Crimea and the East Donbass regions to go over to Russia. And
unbelievable.
We're gonna make sure that Ukraine does. They'll join the European Union as a non-corrupt member, he says. But we'll make sure that they don't have an Article 5 in NATO. They might join NATO, but it won't be an Article 5 collective security thing. We promise. And Victoria Nuland came out the day later saying, what we promise will alleviate some of the burdens we've imposed on you with sanctions.
These people are crazy.
Yeah.
These people, they live in an alternate reality. This is worse than an impoverished, naked emperor who has been who is right now ruling over a dilapidated, weakened, and hollowed out empire, dictating to the younger, more powerful, more austere empire that, hey, you know what? You follow my skinny ass and my weak, limp-wristed orders, and I'll let you live. I mean, these people are nuts. They don't understand that this Russia's playing for all the marbles. They don't, and this is the difference, man. Washington, D.C. and London, they fight a war of perception and a war of politics. Russia fights a military war, and those are two different realities. Military reality is the true reality on the ground. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians dead. Hundreds of thousands of tens of thousands of military equipment destroyed. And yet what is occurring? These broken down idiots with law degrees and political science degrees who have no experience in war. And I firmly believe that people like Victoria Nuland need to be summarily executed in a public execution for her war crimes. She is a dastardly and disgusting person. And you're having these mouthpieces speak on behalf of the American people. Like they're holding some sort of cards over the Russians. They don't. They absolutely don't. This is the most stupidest thing, but it shows you the danger of Washington. Only a fool will talk out of his mouth about power that he doesn't possess.
Well, there's no shortage of those fools. And I mean,
No.
I read this Dave Ignatius article in the Washington Post, and it begins by them self-congratulating. The authors of and the representatives of the liberal rules-based order are congratulating themselves and congratulating Biden for having successfully defeated Putin in his efforts to annihilate the existence of Ukraine. As if that was ever a strategic goal of Putin. But they're like, okay, now that we know Putin is not able to carry out his objectives of erasing Ukraine, now we can begin to offer them an exit strategy. We've choked them enough economically. They've been destroyed, ravaged economically. We've destroyed them. We're about to destroy them militarily, but let's give them an enlightened way out to escape and save face a little bit.
Yes, because we're merciful.
The Freudian projection is very loud. I mean, the fact is that the only power broker in the world right now that's been trying to erase a civilization and an entire country from the map, several countries and several civilizations, is the thing which is latched on like a parasite to the United States as its host, which is actually called openly. And even Dick Cheney's former one of his colleagues in the 90s even wrote saying how disturbed he was that while other hawks in Washington were talking about shutting down and destroying the Soviet Union, and at worst destroying Russia, breaking Russia up into these little microstates, Cheney was actually talking about destroying the Russian people and Russian civilization. And he was like, that was a little bit much for me. But that's been always the objective between Victoria Nuland and all of this thing. They've wanted to just erase it as if it never existed. And all they want is a perfectly malleable, liberal, post-truth, LGBT, homogenous slave class of Borgs to be incorporated into this post-truth Davos structure that they want to bring online. The same thing for China, same thing for India, same thing for the United States. So right now, the foreign ministry just came out saying, like, look, it's really nice that you're saying these words, but they pretty much acknowledged you're not agreement capable. We have a mission to carry out. Our military experts have a very specific objective. It's not to wipe Ukraine off the map, but it will involve taking out all of these German and, as Biden now says, U.S. Abraham tanks, which who knows when they're going to arrive. But the fact is that Biden just announced about several days ago, after saying that if the U.S. were to provide Abraham tanks to Russia, that would be World War III back in March. And people have probably seen these videos of marching today. Right? He's like, that would be World War III. Okay, you got that? That's serious. That's what he's saying in March. And now all of a sudden he's saying we're about to send Abraham tanks to Ukraine to fight. And I mean, these will be wiped out. Russia's made it very clear. All of the points of connection.
You make a mistake on Matt. You make a mistake on the M1A1 Abrams. Okay, and I'm going to show you why. These are, and CJ pointed this out to me. These are CJ. You said these are green tanks. They're environmentally friendly.
They're solar powered and they're biodegradable.
Oh, yes, they're biodegradable. CJ made also the point that when they do biodegrade, it provides warmth. Okay, like this one. Like here's a Russian cornet to a Saudi M1, and you could see the warmth that occurs. Watch, look at the warmth. You see the warmth coming out and the melted steel. That's a lot of warmth, and the Germany and Europe needs that warmth, man. This is not a bad thing. That American M1s and Leopard 826s will be burning in Ukrainian battlefields. It could provide some warmth in the needed winter, Matthew.
You know, I just was listening. I was stuck in traffic the other day, and I was listening to some talk radio, which is all pretty much propaganda at this point. There's not a single Western channel that I could find that's not just Nazi propaganda. They were actually making the point. They had a series of experts on, all giving their take. They're all climate experts, by the way, giving their take about why the war that Russia has unilaterally launched against poor Ukraine is driving global climate change. They actually make this case. They're actually using this idiocy, this language. And so you're joking about, but yet there's people who take this and call it science. And they're actually saying that this is driving global warming, is the Russians, aka Nazis, which are somehow now the same thing, despite the fact that actual swastika-wearing Nazis in Ukraine are getting blown up. They're saying that those acts of blowing up Ukrainian Western-produced tanks is driving global warming. Anyway, it's actually a thing that they're doing.
It's incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. You
Yeah.
know, I for one cannot even fathom. Only somebody devoid of reality, who has these these people with these political science degrees, they're literally narrative peddlers and circle jerkers. Only somebody from that side, from that type of deep education, and now you say that euphemistically, would say such stupid things as that, man. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I have a political science degree. Oh, so you're a circle jerker. Yes, I am.
Well, it's definitely we're all endowed with an aspect of our minds that can utilize logic, right? It's a blessing that we all have this skill of using logic, facts. We can accumulate facts. We can apply meaning onto those facts using explanatory models that we've been given, and we can use that ideally tied to our conscience, our emotions that are more refined in a way that allows a balance of mind and emotion and conscience, which is of the highest quality of emotions, of compassion, higher qualities of love. Those things should be working together towards the development of, I think, a well-rounded human being that is capable of using an improving quality of judgments, aka wisdom, that is being refined in accordance with some sense of purposefulness. Now, that should be what a human does. Now, the problem is we live in a society which is completely schismed, not only at war with itself and divided amongst itself, as far as people as individuals being atomized in a community which doesn't really have that type of social cohesion we used to see back in the day, before the age of handheld Five Eyes devices that we're all sort of addicted to. But there used to be more of this immaterial cultural foundation within family units, within societies, communities, nations, communities of nations, that tempered the vices that would otherwise go unbounded, and it would temper some of the logical thoughts that could otherwise lead us into fascism. So you had something as an immaterial spiritual quality, not perfect, but it was still present as a value structure. Now, today in our world, we're not just schismed externally, because all of these things are now increasingly broken up, especially in the transatlantic sort of death cult managed West, but it's internally. This is how it happens. It's that the battle is happening on two fronts, both external but internal too. So every individual has their minds increasingly schismed from this modern belief structure that you are either a right-brained feeling person, an artist type who's not bounded by the pollution of logic or reason, which just makes art bad and untruthful and unpure of your raw emotion. But then you're told that there's those types of people, and then there's the logic, the ivory tower logical personality type that uses their left brain, unpolluted by the emotional pollution irrationalism, that makes mathematical formulas, impure. So we're told we have to pick a side, pick a personality type, and then mold our identities around one of the two extremes within our education system. And then this goes on when you talk to most of the people in think tanks, you read their writings, and I've read a lot of these things. What you see is that the political science departments, as well as economics departments in general, are they are the most ivory tower theoretical cults in the world, to the point that these theories that they're given about how the world works, that you're going to be now expected to go into and influence in some way as a think tank policy, a white paper author or analyst with NATO or Atlantic Council or RAND or whatever, or some assistant to a member of parliament or member of Senate. You are now in a situation where you are trained to not use your actual reasonable mind. You're just you're taking the formulas that have been put into your head in university about, again, yes, of course, the rules-based international order is the end of history. It's the impermeable greatest good that could ever exist, in any power that tries to disrupt those rules, as if like, who made those rules in the first place, is intrinsically bad and is intrinsically the enemy. That's like, and you have to destroy that thing. So you end up just getting, like you said, circle jerkers who are just masturbating with and flattering themselves and their own false thoughts about the way that they believe the world should be, independent of the fact that the world is not that way. It operates very differently. And just now, I was just reading this morning this policy paper on Canada's new Indo-Pacific strategy that was just released this week. It's insane. They start off by self-congratulating themselves, saying, we as Canadians, speaking as if this liberal hive around Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney are somehow representative of all Canadians, see with clear eyes, that's their words, we see with clear eyes the heart and mind of China. They say that first and foremost.
Hey, V, you there?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I
His
think
internet just crashed, I think.
yeah, you guys having an ice storm going through there, and I think that President Zelensky didn't like it, bro.
I don't think he liked what Matthew had to say one bit.
I don't think he did at all.
Well, that's what happens when you live with socialized internet.
This is very true. This is very, very true. And he's back. Is he back?
Let me see. I don't think so. Hey, Matt, you there? No, it was a hard crash. Oh, there he is. No, that's...
You might say to yourself, where is Matthew Elliott? I want to let you know that Matthew Elliott is safe. But everything is okay. That everything will work out. Matthew is being taken care of. I do not like how he was exposing too much of my Slavic cocaine. Now for the Americans, please, send me more money. Send me more money. Together, we can rob your nation. We can extract all the wealth from your countries. And oh wait, Matthew Elliott is back. I've allowed him to come back. Bye. There he is. Yeah, Zelensky was holding it down for you, man, while you were gone.
Oh man, that's great. What a great ally.
Yeah,
I take everything back.
CJ, can you show the picture of the T-shirt you bought him for Christmas? He loved that T-shirt. There you go. It's just
That's
perfect.
gorgeous. That's
he
gorgeous.
wore it. Yeah, he loves it. I mean, he's coming down to visit me and Siege, so we're gonna hang out. We're gonna eat some pierogies together and chicken Kiev.
You got to be careful what you say around him, because they say he's very testy.
He is. He has a temper, but he's much nicer